There comes a moment in every person's life when they realize the biggest battle isn't against the world, it's against themselves. Not the government, not your boss, not your parents, not your past. It's you versus you. The real enemy of greatness is the old version of you that refuses to die. The version that craves comfort, that says, I'll start tomorrow, that settles for mediocrity and hides behind excuses. That version has been whispering in your ear for years, convincing you that average is safe and greatness is risky. But the truth is, the comfort zone isn't a sanctuary. It's a slow death. You've got to reach a point where you look at the mirror and say, I'm done negotiating with my weakness. Because every time you choose comfort, you delay your calling. Every time you choose excuses, you kill a little bit of your potential. Greatness doesn't happen when you feel ready. It happens when you decide you're done living small. That old self of yours, the lazy one, the fearful one, the one that complains instead of commits, it has to be buried for the new you to rise. You can't be the same person and expect a different life. The problem is most people are emotionally loyal to the old version of themselves. They want change but refuse to let go of the identity that's holding them back. They want to evolve but still cling to the habits that make them weak. You can't step into the future still dragging your past. If you're serious about greatness, you have to rewire your daily operating system. That means waking up earlier than your excuses. It means doing the work no one applauds you for. It means building discipline so strong that even when motivation dies, your standards don't. You have to understand that success doesn't belong to the talented. It belongs to the consistent, the ones who do it again and again and again, even when it hurts. You must trade your desire for comfort with a hunger for structure. The days you don't feel like showing up are the days that define your future, because discipline is what bridges the gap between who you are and who you can become. And here's the part most people don't want to hear. Pain is the down payment for greatness. There's no way around it. You can't grow without discomfort. Every great man or woman you admire has paid their dues in the currency of pain. Rejection, failure, loss, sacrifice. That's the tuition for success. You don't get to skip class. Every scar you carry, every heartbreak, every sleepless night. They're not punishments. They're proof that you're evolving. Pain doesn't mean you're losing. It means you're shedding the old you. You're transforming. But the key is to stop romanticizing struggle and start learning from it. Pain is not there to destroy you. It's there to prepare you. The person who learns how to suffer with purpose becomes unstoppable. You have to tell yourself, if I have to go through fire to become the person I'm meant to be, then so be it. Because no greatness ever came without sacrifice. The comfort you sacrifice today becomes the strength you build tomorrow. Eventually you'll reach a stage where you start recognizing the difference between who you were and who you're becoming. The old self starts to fade. The one that feared judgment, that settled for less, that kept playing small. And the new version of you starts to rise, focused, resilient, relentless. This new self doesn't seek validation. It commands respect through action. It doesn't chase opportunities. It creates them. It doesn't wait for motivation. It moves from purpose. That transformation is the rebirth. It's when you stop asking, what do I get? And start asking, who must I become? Because greatness is never given. It's earned by those willing to die to their former self, to sacrifice comfort, distraction, and ego for vision, discipline, and purpose. Every day, the old you will try to pull you back. Every day, that weak voice will whisper, relax, you've done enough. And every day, you must silence it with action. You must remind yourself that you're not chasing easy, you're chasing excellence. There will come a day when you'll look back at your journey and realize something powerful. You didn't just build success, you built yourself. You didn't just climb higher, you became stronger. That's the real reward. The cars, the titles, the recognition, those are just symbols. The real win is becoming someone who refuses to quit, someone who chose growth over comfort, purpose over pleasure, destiny over doubt. So if you want greatness, understand this, it will cost you your old habits, your excuses, your comfort, and sometimes even people who don't belong in your future. But that's the price. You either pay the price of discipline now or the price of regret later. And regret always costs more. Sacrifice your old self. Let the weak version of you die in peace. Because the world doesn't need another comfortable soul. It needs a warrior who's willing to trade their comfort for purpose. When you do that, when you sacrifice your old self, that's when greatness finally begins. The greatest enemy you'll ever face doesn't live outside of you. It lives within you. It's not your boss, not your parents, not the economy, not your circumstances. It's that voice inside your head that whispers, take it easy. And it's that version of you that wants to hit the snooze button, that convinces you to skip the gym, that says, and you've done enough today. That inner voice is the assassin of potential, and it doesn't come with a warning sign. It comes disguised as comfort. It tells you you're fine where you are, that you've earned a break, that success will somehow come later. But later never comes for the person who listens to that voice. Comfort is seductive because it feels safe. It feels good in the moment to relax, to scroll, to procrastinate. But what comfort really does is slowly drain your hunger. It steals your urgency. It dulls your edge until you stop chasing the life you once said you wanted. And that's how people end up living the same year over and over again, calling it a life. You can't expect to grow if you keep protecting your comfort zone like it's your home. It's not your home. It's your cage. Look at the most successful people in any field. They all have one thing in common. They made discomfort their ally. They learned to operate in chaos, to move forward even when it was inconvenient, to take action even when the outcome was uncertain. They understood that comfort doesn't build champions. Pressure does. Diamonds are not made in ease. They're made under heat. And yet, most people avoid the very heat that would turn them into something valuable. The truth is, comfort feels like peace, but it's really paralysis. It tricks you into thinking you're okay because nothing feels wrong, but nothing feels right either. You're not failing dramatically, but you're not winning either. You're just existing, stuck in the gray area between who you are and who you could be. And that's the most dangerous place to live. The land of almost successful, almost committed, almost great. If you want to escape that trap, you have to get brutally honest with yourself. You have to call out your comfort zone for what it really is, an enemy. You have to stop sugarcoating your excuses and start holding yourself accountable. Every time you choose comfort over growth, you are feeding your weakness and starving your potential. Greatness doesn't require that you be fearless. It requires that you act in spite of fear. Ask yourself, what has comfort given you so far? Has it made you stronger? Has it built your confidence? Has it brought you closer to the life you imagine? Probably not, because comfort is not designed to build. It's designed to preserve. It keeps you safe, yes, but it also keeps you small, and you weren't born to stay small. The real test of life isn't how comfortable you can get. It's how uncomfortable you're willing to be to reach your potential. You'll know you're on the right path when you start feeling resistant. That resistance is not a sign to stop. It's a sign to push harder. The mind will scream for safety because it fears change, but growth only happens when you challenge that instinct. The gym hurts before your body changes. Learning is frustrating before knowledge clicks. Business is risky before success arrives. Every form of transformation demands temporary pain, but that pain is proof that progress is happening. The greatest decision you'll ever make is to stop being loyal to your comfort zone. Stop defending your limits. Stop protecting the version of you that's holding you back, because if you don't kill the comfort zone, it will kill your dreams. The world doesn't reward those who play it safe. It rewards those who step out when everyone else steps back. The people you admire today didn't get there by accident. They faced their inner enemy and refused to let comfort win. So if you're serious about greatness, make this your declaration. And I will no longer let comfort dictate my destiny. Choose pressure or pleasure. Choose growth over ease. Choose the pain of discipline over the pain of regret. Because once you break free from the enemy within, once you escape the comfort that's been keeping you average, you'll discover a version of yourself that's unstoppable. That's when your real story begins. Desire will get you started, but discipline is what keeps you moving when the excitement dies. Anyone can feel motivated for a day, a week, even a month. But what separates the average from the elite is the ability to act when the feeling is gone. That's where greatness begins. The truth is, desire is emotional, but discipline is structural. Desire says, I feel like doing this. And so then discipline says, I'll do it whether I feel like it or not. The people who win in life are not the ones who rely on motivation. They are the ones who build systems that make success inevitable. Every single day, you are either programming yourself for progress or conditioning yourself for procrastination. The routines you repeat become the code that runs your life. And if that code is sloppy, if it's full of excuses, delays, distractions, then your results will reflect that. To rewire your life, you have to rebuild your operating system. And that starts with your standards. What you tolerate becomes your identity. If you keep allowing yourself to quit early, to sleep in, to cut corners, then don't be surprised when you start losing confidence in yourself. Confidence isn't built by winning. It's built by keeping promises you make to yourself, even when no one's watching. The problem is most people treat discipline like punishment. They see it as restriction instead of liberation, but the truth is, discipline is freedom. It's what allows you to take control of your life instead of being dragged around by your impulses. Think about it. When you're disciplined with your time, you gain more of it. When you're disciplined with your money, you create options. When you're disciplined with your habits, you build momentum. Discipline doesn't trap you. It frees you from chaos. But here's the challenge. Rewiring your habits isn't easy because your brain loves shortcuts. It's addicted to instant gratification. That's why your phone feels more appealing than your goals. That's why distractions feel more comfortable than discipline. Your mind will always look for the path of least resistance. It's how it's wired for survival. But greatness isn't about survival. It's about domination. To dominate, you have to train your brain to do what's right, not what's easy. You have to replace emotion-driven actions with principle-driven habits. Start by mastering your mornings. The first hour of your day is your battlefield. If you win there, you'll likely win the rest of the day. Don't start your day reacting to the world. Start it by directing your world. Read, plan, train, visualize, set the tone, because how you begin is how you build momentum. Discipline starts in small things. Waking up when you said you would, finishing tasks you start, keeping your word, even when it's inconvenient, when you can't keep promises to yourself. How can you expect the world to trust you with more? There will be days when you're tired, when you don't feel like doing anything, when the results seem too far away. That's when most people quit. But those moments are where champions are made. Discipline is forged in boredom, not excitement. It's built in the days you don't see progress, when it feels like nothing's working, but you keep going anyway. That's when you're rewiring your system. Not to depend on dopamine, but to depend on duty. You have to treat your daily routine like a contract between your future and your present. The present you want comfort. The future you demand sacrifice. Every decision you make either feeds your greatness or feeds your weakness. And when you understand that, you start living intentionally. You start designing your life instead of drifting through it. You stop being reactive and start being proactive. You stop chasing feelings and start chasing standards. The beautiful thing about discipline is that it compounds. The first few days, it's hard. The next few weeks, it's still uncomfortable. But after a while, it becomes who you are. You start to crave order. You start to feel uneasy when you slack off. That's when you know your operating system has changed. When discipline becomes your default, not your punishment, you no longer need to convince yourself to do what needs to be done. You just do it. And when that happens, when discipline replaces desire as your driving force, you become unstoppable. Because now it doesn't matter. If you're tired, stressed, uninspired, or unmotivated, you move anyway. You execute regardless. You don't wait for the perfect mood because your life is built on standards, not feelings. That's the mindset of the great. They don't hope for motivation. They manufacture momentum. So if you truly want to rise, don't chase the rush of desire. It fades. Build the foundation of discipline. It lasts. Rewire your habits, protect your structure, and become the kind of person who does what others only talk about. Because once discipline becomes your language, success becomes your accent. Pain is the tuition you pay to attend the school of greatness. You can't buy your way into strength. You can't talk your way into wisdom. And you can't shortcut your way to resilience. The only true currency that builds real character is pain. It's uncomfortable, it's lonely, it's relentless. But it's also the one thing that transforms ordinary people into extraordinary leaders. Every person who ever achieved something meaningful had to bleed a little, emotionally, mentally, financially, or physically, because greatness demands proof. And the proof is how much you're willing to endure without breaking. The world sells you an illusion that success should be easy, that it should come with quick rewards and constant motivation. But that's not how it works. The truth is, pain is not a punishment. It's a process. It's the universe asking, how bad do you really want it? Everyone wants to be great until they feel the burn. Everyone wants to grow until growth starts hurting. That's where the weak turn around and the committed push through. The difference between the dreamers and the doers is not talent, it's endurance. Pain has a purpose. It strips away everything fake. When you're in pain, your excuses disappear. Your ego dissolves and your true self gets revealed. It shows you who you really are when comfort is gone and nobody's clapping for you. That's when you find out if your vision is real or just a fantasy. Because if you're only chasing success for the applause, you'll quit the moment it gets hard. But if you're chasing it because it's your purpose, you'll keep going even when it feels impossible. The path to greatness is not decorated with comfort. It's paved with setbacks, rejections, late nights, and self-doubt. You'll be misunderstood, underestimated, and sometimes even forgotten, but every single hardship carries a seed of strength within it. You're either breaking or building, depending on how you choose to see your pain. If you run from it, it controls you. If you face it, it refines. The gym hurts before your body changes. Business is messy before it succeeds. Faith is tested before it strengthens. That's how life works. The pain you avoid today becomes a weakness that haunts you tomorrow. But here's the paradox. Pain, when embraced, becomes power. The very thing you think is destroying you is actually building the foundation for your next level. Every sleepless night, every disappointment, every moment of loneliness, those are not setbacks. They're bricks in your fortress. Pain doesn't stop you. It sculpts you. It forces you to adapt, to dig deeper, to find levels of strength you didn't know existed. Without it, there is no humility, no discipline, no gratitude. You'll reach a point where pain no longer scares you. It motivates you. You'll start to see it as a signal that growth is happening, the same way a muscle grows. Only after it's been torn, your spirit expands, only after it's been stretched. Pain is not a sign that you're losing. It's a sign that you're evolving. The people who run from pain stay the same. The people who walk through it change forever. but you have to stop labeling pain as bad. It's not bad. It's necessary. If everything was easy, you'd never grow. If everything went your way, you'd never learn. Pain gives life its weight, its meaning, its depth. It reminds you that greatness has a cost. It keeps you humble. It keeps you grateful. It keeps you human, because when you've suffered, you appreciate what you've earned. When you've lost, you value what you have. When you've struggled, you understand what it means to rise. So don't ask for an easier life. Ask for the strength to handle a harder one. Don't wish for fewer problems. Wish for greater wisdom. Don't run from pain. Learn to use it. Every time you feel broken, remember, you're being rebuilt. Every time you fall, remember, the ground teaches what the mountaintop can't. Pain is not your enemy. It's your greatest teacher. The truth is, the only people who never fail are the ones who never tried. The only people who never hurt are the ones who never risk anything. But those people never grow, never change, never inspire. If you want to do something legendary, you must be willing to suffer temporarily for the sake of something eternal. Greatness doesn't come to those who avoid pain. It comes to those who master it. So the next time life tests you, don't complain. Don't ask, why me? Ask, what is this trying to teach me? Because pain is the universe's way of preparing you for what you've been asking for. Every stone you survive sharpens your blade. Every struggle strengthens your soul. Every failure shapes your future. Pain is a down payment for greatness. And those who pay it in full with patience and perseverance always collect the reward. At some point, you have to stop chasing success and start becoming the kind of person who deserves it. Success isn't something you stumble into. It's something you attract by the person you become. That's the real transformation. The rebirth, the old you, got you this far, but the next level of your life requires a completely different version of you. You can't hold on to the same habits, the same mindset, the same fears, and expect to rise higher. The next version of you demands that you shed everything that's no longer serving your future. Becoming someone new means killing the old identity, the one built on doubt, procrastination, and excuses. It means letting go of the stories you keep telling yourself about why you can't. The truth is, most people don't fail because of external obstacles. They fail because they're addicted to their old identity. They're so loyal to their past that they sabotage their future. They keep repeating the same habits and calling it fate, when really it's just familiarity. Transformation begins when you finally decide that who you used to be is no longer acceptable. Rebirth isn't glamorous. It's painful. It's the silent, lonely process of unlearning, rebuilding, and redefining who you are. It's saying goodbye to old patterns that used to feel comfortable. It's distancing yourself from people who no longer push you forward. It's confronting parts of yourself you've been avoiding for years. Growth isn't about adding more. It's about subtracting what's holding you down. And that subtraction hurts, but that's how you evolve. To become the person who deserves success, you have to live by higher standards, not just when people are watching, but when no one sees you. It's easy to act disciplined in public. The real test is when it's just you and your thoughts. The new version of you doesn't need applause to stay consistent. The new you does the work because that's who you are now. You no longer act successful. You embody it. You no longer hope for opportunity. You create it. You stop chasing validation and start operating from conviction. You must understand that success isn't about what you achieve. It's about who you become in the process. If you hand $1 million to someone with a broke mindset, they'll lose it. If you give freedom to someone who lacks discipline, they'll waste it. If you give attention to someone insecure, they'll crumble under pressure. That's why the process matters. The struggles, the waiting, the failures, they're not there to punish you. They're there to prepare you. The universe won't hand you something you're not ready to sustain. Every version of you that exists, the old you, the current you, and the future you, are in constant tension. The old self wants safety, the current self wants progress, and the future self demands greatness. And at some point you have. Decide who's in control. Every decision, every habit, every relationship is either feeding the future or feeding the past. When you start aligning your actions with the person you want to become, that's when the rebirth begins. Rebirth requires honesty. You have to look at yourself and admit, I've been playing small. You have to acknowledge your patterns, your distractions, your laziness, your fear of judgment, and then choose to change them. It's uncomfortable because you're breaking the identity that's protected you for years. But comfort and growth cannot coexist. To rise, you must first release. You must be willing to outgrow people, environments, and versions of yourself that no longer fit the life you're building. Eventually, you'll notice something shift. You'll wake up one morning and realize you no longer crave the same validation. You no longer seek the same distractions. You no longer tolerate the same excuses. That's when you know you've changed. The world around you might not notice it immediately, but your energy you'll feel it in your discipline, in your peace, in your focus. You'll stop chasing success because success will start finding you, not by accident, but by alignment. The person who deserves success doesn't chase shortcuts. They build foundations. They show up when it's inconvenient. They operate from vision, not emotion. They carry themselves with quiet confidence, not arrogance. They don't talk about their goals. They live in a way that makes those goals inevitable. When you reach that level, success isn't something you earn. It's something you attract because the frequency of who you are matches the future you've been working for. So this is the rebirth, the death of the old you and the rise of someone unstoppable. The old you played not to lose, the new you plays to win, the old you needed motivation, the new you moves with purpose, the old you waited for permission, the new you creates the opportunity. This isn't about reinventing yourself for others. It's about stepping fully into who you were meant to be, because when you finally become the person who deserves success, you won't have to chase it. It will come to you naturally, powerfully, inevitably. At the end of the day, greatness is not about luck, talent, or opportunity. It's about transformation. It's about who you're willing to become and what you're willing to sacrifice to get there. The world you want, the life you dream about, the legacy you crave. It all exists on the other side of your old self. You cannot drag your fears, your laziness, your excuses, and your comfort zone into the future and expect to win. You have to bury that version of you once and for all. The truth is, most people never make it because they keep negotiating with the weaker parts of themselves. They want the reward, but not the refinement. They want the glory, but not the grind. But greatness doesn't come to those who want it. It comes to those who go become it. The only way to rise is to die to who you were yesterday. Every day is a funeral for your old habits and a birth for your new discipline. Every day is a decision between comfort and calling. There's a version of you waiting to be revealed. A stronger, wiser, more focused, more disciplined version. But that person won't show up until you stop protecting your old identity. The process won't be easy. It will test your patience, your belief, your resilience. You'll lose people, you'll lose comfort, you'll lose certainty, but what you'll gain is worth it. Self-respect, mastery, peace, purpose, power. So make the choice, not tomorrow, not someday, but now. Decide that the old you has served its purpose. Decide that your comfort has expired. Decide that you're ready to become the kind of person who doesn't just dream about greatness, but lives it. Burn the bridges behind you and step into the fire of transformation, because the moment you sacrifice your old self, truly, fully, unapologetically, that's the moment you stop existing and start living. That's the moment you cross the line from average to exceptional, from potential to power. Greatness is not found in the crowd. It's forged in the quiet moments when you choose growth over comfort, purpose over pleasure, and legacy over limits. The old you got you here, but the new you will take you everywhere you've ever dreamed of going. So let the old you die, rise from the ashes, and step into your greatness. The world is waiting for the real you to show up.